I honestly think just with so little money going around, it's like who are you making art for? Like I always ask myself that. It's like for me, it's like if I make a song and like my friend in the music scene in Regina or Saskatoon or anywhere, right? I have friends in the music scene in like Berlin and stuff, and it's like we're all kind of like we want to see each other like grow artistically. So if I write a song like a friend or even me, it's like if you write songs for you and your friends, it kind of like attaches like, yeah, I don't care what other people like, you know what I mean? It's like if some rando on the internet is like, oh, like this guy sucks. It's like, yeah, whatever. Or this guy's mid, it's like I don't think it's like I don't think that personally it's like I don't think my art is anything like like a genius in it's they're just like fun songs, but like at the same time it's like some of my favorite songs are like universally hate. It's like people like things because they like things. So
Rob Ruckus,
Nick Collins,
Kate Clover,
Keith Semple,
Isaiah Mitchell,
Billy Harvey,
Tim Howard. Check it out. Almost Famous Magazine.
Hey everyone, welcome back to The Hang right here on Almost Famous Magazine. I'm your host, Scott Saldinger. Thank you so much for joining us. The Hang is where we get to know musicians from around the world, learning their stories from them, getting to know them beyond just their music. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, share, ring the bell. Do that now before you forget, please. It helps us and the artist. These episodes really get their word out there for them, and they do it in their own voice, and you're really going to love what we've got. So please, if you like what we're doing, also share it with friends. Meanwhile, if you are one of those people who loves to take your podcast on the go, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more. Today in The Hang, we've got Canadian singer-songwriter Nick Faye. He's a Regina native who's been crafting some of the most honest, catchy indie pop meets Prairie soul tunes to come out of, you ready? Saskatchewan. Say that 3 times fast. I don't even think Canadians can do that, but we'll find out. He's toured the world with and without his band, The Deputies. I'd love to get deputized by the end of this episode, playing everywhere from tiny bars, major festivals, and winning people over with his songs that feel like late night conversations with an old friend, which is appropriate why he's on The Hang. His latest music includes tracks off of his 2025 album, Good Love. And it shows just how good he is at mixing heart, humor, and wide open sky storytelling. I've listened to the album. It's amazing. Nick, dude, welcome to The Hang.
Thank you so much, and an amazing intro, and honored to be here. And yeah, thanks for listening. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. No, you've got great stuff. Your writing is really authentic, and that's kind of what we try to do here. That's why we're going to give you your voice today, and let you tell your story. What I want to do is kind of start there, right, with your story, right? Let's dive into things and go way back to the time that your relationship with music began. Did you find music, or did music find you? What's that origin story, and how did it bring you to where you are today?
Yeah, like I think growing up, my parents just like put me in music lessons, or they were like, "You need activities, son." And then, so yeah, it's like I think to start, I kind of just wanted a guitar, and my parents were like, "Oh, like we want you to do some lessons to see before we buy one. We'll rent you one." And I was just so focused, I just wanted the thing. So I like did the lessons, and I was like, "See, like I'm doing it. Like, can you buy me a guitar now?" So they bought me this like crappy Squire Telecaster basic pack. And then once I got it, I was like, "Okay, this is boring. I don't want to do this anymore." And then so I would do lessons, but like I just it didn't really connect with me until I went out to some summer camps, and then all of a sudden it was like cool. Everyone was like, thought that if you could play music, it was like it was like a commodity. So I was like, oh wow, like you guys like this, hey? So then I went home, and when I realized that I could like write my own songs, that's kind of when I realized like that's always what kind of like spoke to me. So I think I was like 16 when I started writing my own songs. And then from there, it's like I was like in Saskatchewan, there's like it's cold when you're a kid. It's like you're bored, you're right. It's like, you got to make your own fun. so a lot of the scene here, like as kids, it was just like a bunch of punk and hardcore, and screamo, and we'd have these multi-genres shows where it'd be one metal, one hardcore, one indie rock, and an acoustic singer. So I would go out, and just being a part of that, I would go out to shows, and I think um, going and seeing like the Saskatchewan music scene, it's like Andy Schaaf is like local shows was like a 16-year-old. You could tell he was like a genius back then, and like was amazing. Andy Schaaf, or like Northcote, or some other hardcore bands, and so I would go to shows, come home, just be so inspired, and go home and be like, wow, not competitive, like not like I need to be better, but like how can I be a part of like this community? So yeah, I was kind of like, I wanted a guitar, and then I realized people thought it was cool, and then what really sparked my joy was like people like the local music scene, and just writing songs and wanting to be a part of that energy. So yeah.
So in that scene, with all of that variety in different musical styles, what drew you to indie pop? What drew you kind of to that place where you're categorized now, as opposed to you being here with me with a mohawk that's pink, right? and a pierced eyebrow. So nothing against that, by the way. I love punk.
No,
But
yeah.
what what drew you to that as the kind of the style that you wanted to master your craft at?
Well, I think it's like interesting. It's like around here, it's like, because I did used to scream in like a hardcore band. Like, it's like there were like I was involved in that scene, but those people, it's like I feel like when you're a kid, I still like a lot of heavier music, but a lot of my friends who were in those hardcore bands, all of a sudden they started country or Americana or folk projects or indie rock or like whatever. So I don't know. It was just kind of like and I even now I think that there's elements of like those like punk or like hardcore in a lot of the, you know what I mean? So I think that like it just kind of was a natural progression. It's like for most of my songs I write, I started off, it was like very like acoustic, and then over time it was like just wanting to play with friends and get together, and hey, you want to, like, I wrote these songs, like, you want to record them, and then from there we started playing full band shows, and even then it's like the sound is meandered from folk acoustic to Americana to sometimes there's some songs that are more country-ish to some it's indie, some it's kind of punk. So I think it kind of weaves around all those genres still. So yeah, it's just, I don't know. You just hang out with friends and rip songs, man. It's fun.
Well, as someone who also went to a summer camp back in my day, and yes, definitely, when you're at summer camp, if you're the guy who can play guitar, there are many a benefit to that. Um, there were a lot of great acoustic songs, including a lot of Neil Young. Back then, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. I remember Dean Friedman, who's been on this podcast, who lives in
Wow.
upstate New York. All those genres. When you were in that phase of your life, who were some of those influences that really kind of stuck with you, right? Because a lot of times your art becomes pieces of what you pull from other people's
Mm.
influence while adding your own secret sauce.
Yeah, good question. I think back then, I've always been a big fan of like 90s pop rock. So like, whatever was in Rick Dees in like 1999, I was like, and even now it's like I still feel like a lot of that seeps into like the music now. But yeah, back then, or at camp, like your Wonderwalls and your like Alkaline Trios, and I'm trying to think of what else. Matchbox 20, Goo Goo Dolls, like whatever. Like I think yeah, I feel like that was what around the campfire when we were there. Just or whatever, like sometimes those weaker thans from Winnipeg, or like just some other whatever people were into. If there was a tab on what is MX tabs or Ultimate Guitar, or what, I can't remember what
Right,
it was
right.
back then. If you could print
Yeah.
it off and take it to camp, you can, it was a few chords. Yeah, you could try and sing it around a campfire, or you know, yeah,
Yeah.
with some friends or whatever. Yeah, it's fun.
Cool. Well, hey, 2025 saw you release Good Love. And I'm curious, walk me through the journey of creating the album and any kind of career milestones it brought with it during the course of the year.
Yeah, it like I'm really proud of it. The guys, like everyone in the band, so it's produced by Chris Demas, and then Byron Chambers played bass, Landon Leibel played drums, John Nair played keys, Jesse Brixa played guitar. Yeah, it was just like as we get older, we all it's just not really enough money in the music industry for any of us to really do it full time. So, some of us have like our keyboardist had a child, so he had a baby, and then our guitarist moved across Canada. So some of it was really, really chaotic. Our producer was in the process of like shifting a lot of his operations to Toronto and back and forth between Regina and Toronto. So yeah, it's just like it was really chaotic to actually record it. But no, I think I'm really proud of it. And like a lot of it was recorded, like a lot of the keyboard and like the electric guitar parts were recorded without even concurrently, where like they both of them didn't know what the other was recording, and we just sent the parts, and it just like, oh, okay, like, Chris did a great job of mixing it. But no, I'm really proud of it, but it was like really chaotic and really stressful. And like, I don't know, like career milestones. I'm just like, I feel like in this day and age, I have so many friends who are just brilliant artists who have done everything that they should be doing, touring and pushing and whatever. And the financial, like the compensation system is just kind of like broken. So for this release, I think I tried to detach like, oh, it's blowing up, or like metrics or whatever, right? Like I tried to detach that because I don't, like, realistically, it's just really hard to make money from your music. So like, not that I'm not trying, obviously if you're going on tour, you got expenses. It's like you got to try and, sell some shirts, sell some vinyls, whatever. But in terms of career milestones, it's just trying to detach that and just be proud of the art regardless of like, how many streams it gets or whatever. And just I don't know. Just my main goal is just trying to take care of my mental health while I like work full time and come home and do this unprofitable side hustle. It's rewarding. It's fun to make art with your friends, and it's fun to pay my friends to produce. Like I want to pay like to do the graphic design and do fun video stuff and do photos. All that stuff is so much fun. But I think in terms of career milestone, it's just I'm really proud of the art, the quality of it, and a lot of people have been really great in telling us, like, like, hey man, this means a lot to us, and like including you. Thank you so much. Um, and but like I don't know, we toured. I booked my own tour in Europe, and that was nice. But there's been like good shows and festivals and stuff. But first and foremost, just like the album's great. I'm proud of it. I'll be proud of it in 20 years, and I tried to take care of my mental health as best I could and trying not to burn out while doing it. So I'm at the tail end of it now. I'm excited to rest. It's winter, so it's just like I like to hibernate, and it's nice not having to. Oh, I gotta write a grant. Oh, I gotta like coordinate this. Oh, I gotta like what's the recording deadlines? Like it's just it's a lot to have to deal with in addition to like working full time. So I don't know. That's for me, anyways. Career milestone you asked, but yeah.
Yeah, well, you brought up an interesting topic, and we're going to get back to the album here because I want to learn your thoughts on some of the
Yeah.
songs and things like that. But while it's top of mind, mental health, right? How do you as an artist, and I think for anyone who's an artist who's watching this, I think advice is always a good thing because people handle things differently. We live in a world of immediate communication, and sometimes people say great things about one another. Other times, people say not so great things. And the feedback mechanism is almost immediate, right? And part of that mental health piece is how do you handle anything that's not a positive to your music, right? Because there's always going to be, I hate to say haters out there, but there's always going to be somebody, right? And that does negatively impact people's emotional and mental health and can stunt creativity. It can make them feel as though, why am I even doing this? They lose the fun. How do you handle that kind of stuff? And do you have any good words of advice for other artists who deal with the same thing?
Yeah, like I think just thinking about this, two things that I think about. First off is like I don't know, like I honestly think just with so little money going around, it's like who are you making art for? Like I always ask myself that. It's like for me, it's like if I make a song and like my friend in the music scene in Regina or Saskatoon or anywhere, right? I have friends in the music scene in like Berlin and stuff, and it's like we're all kind of like we want to see each other like grow artistically. So if I write a song like a friend or even me, it's like if you write songs for you and your friends, it kind of like detaches like, yeah, I don't care what other people like, you know what I mean? It's like if some rando on the internet is like, oh, like this guy sucks. It's like, yeah, whatever. Or this guy's mid, it's like I don't think it's like I don't think that personally it's like I don't think my art is anything like like a genius in the it's they're just like fun songs, but like at the same time it's like some of my favorite songs are like universally hate, it's just like people like things because they like things. So
That's an interesting statement that you're making about that, because I mean I do concert photography. I've had a camera in my hand since I was 6 years old, got a degree in filmmaking. And for me, the work that I've created that I love the most seems to be what no one likes, and the stuff that I think is crap, people love it. And it just blows my mind sometimes, going, wait, I put very little effort into that and you're giving me maximum joy out of it. Meanwhile, I busted my tail to make something that I thought was great, and you're like, yeah, it's trash. It's
yeah, like
crazy.
no, and you can't do anything. So yeah, it's like that happens so frequently. So like that's the first thing where it's just like if you make art for yourself and your friends who inspire you, who are also, you're in the same artistic communities, it's like for me anyways, I don't really like if someone wants to dunk on my music, it's like I've probably dunked on it or I'm kind of like I'm self-deprecating, you know what I mean? It's like I don't know. So it's like who's gonna be harder on my music than like myself, right? Like I don't know. And the second thing is like the one thing that I do actually really hate that I'm learning to hate. I used to really like being on social media, but now just like pressure to have to like post and have to like you have to have an aesthetic. You have to what's your brand, what's your profile, and whatever. And it's like I just feel like one of my least favorite things about releasing an album is just like actually like knowing that like if you want to be successful you have to post and sorting through okay how much like am I going to drag my carcass to like actually post when I just don't want like some of it's fun and it's like ooh this is fun to share, but having to spam people where it's like yeah that's what works, you have to spam people a million times and then Swiss cheese method, if you post the same thing 20 times maybe someone will see it once or twice to make an impression, but it's just like I hate it. It's like I don't want to have to like so it's like I don't post as much, but to me it's like what people say about it's just like I think spending too much time on social media and having to do it because it's like honestly that's the only way, like not the only but that's one of the biggest ways of building your business as a musician is like having to post and make a profile, and is it on aesthetic, is it on brand, and I just think I don't know. It's like I realize how much happier I am when I'm not in a release cycle, when I can just be like, I'm either A, going to use social media because I just want to, or B, just like, I'm going to stay off it because it makes me, everybody's comparing each other and what are your metrics. And like, so anyways, that's where it's like, I think it's like, not so much the negative comments because I don't really care, but just like, oh my gosh, like I'm a loser. I only have this many likes or what, you know what I mean? Where it's just like that. And I just think it's like the natural course of social media, right? Like, I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's interesting because like we now have to fight for attention that tends not to truly be organic, right? It's forced, and you weren't at summer camp playing a guitar going, wow, one day I'm going to have to spend my life showing everyone, or my life showing the world my life, so that I can get more people to listen to me and be on this hamster wheel, right? That's not what you signed up for, and that's part of the business because of the lower profitability and lower ability to earn an income, but you're forced into working so much harder for less. It seems
Yeah.
so disingenuous, right?
It's just like it's so funny because it's like, again, what you're saying, like the photography and the shots that you spent, like so much time and like lining up, and like I just think about like social media posts that, like, oh, we painstakingly recorded and mixed this live shot of us playing this song. Check it out. We poured our heart and soul, or like we poured our heart and soul into this like song. Like, please check it out. And that'll get like 2 likes versus, like, I don't know. I started doing this stupid like social media, like it's like a bit where it's like I'm pretending to be like a viral influencer named Rick Clay, and I'm trying to see if people would rather do something that's gross or stupid or listen to a Nick Faye song. And it's like that, a video like that, it's like people are like, this is all, like, you know what I mean? It's just like the things that get engagement, that is like, well, why don't you guys like just listen to my song when I post them? Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, I don't know.
Well, and it's like
Ugh.
I mean, I don't know. It's like we have to be someone else for other people because they
Yeah,
can't appreciate us for who we are, right?
yeah.
And look, I struggle with that. I mean, we've been at this almost 2 years with this podcast, and there are times when I'll be like, "Hey, this is an amazing episode. It's going to do great. The following on the artist is great, and we've got great momentum, and we talked about some really cool stuff." And then it sinks, and it does nothing. And then I'll put up an episode where I'm like, we did it, okay. And the next thing you know, it's 500-600 views, which in a short period of time is a lot, right? But there's no rhyme or reason to it. Like, you
So
can't.
how do you like how do you make peace with that? Like, if that happens for you, I'm just curious. Like
Yeah, no,
artist to artist, like.
I had to get to a point where I'm like, you know what? Number one, and for those of you who are watching, we do this organically. If you're here with us, it's because you want to be here with us. We don't go out. We don't buy subscribers. We don't buy likes. We don't buy views. Because if you want to hang with us, you want to hang with us. And we had to resolve ourselves to the idea that we're having amazing conversations with people in such an authentic, organic way that if you love musicians, if you love the art of creativity, if you just want to know someone and allow them to tell you their story instead of hearing what some bullshit that someone else tells you, then this is the place for you. And that's okay. We don't have to be everything to everyone. And sometimes we're going to have some amazing guests on, and sometimes we're going to have some early stage guests on, and we're going to have some later stage guests on, and we're going to have moments that are real. And if that's
Might have
what you
some
want, that's
some weirdos from Canada, like sitting in their frozen tundra of a house,
Well,
No.
look, June was Canada month for us. We had 6 episodes. We finished it on July 1st in honor of Canada Day
Oh
because
my
we just
gosh.
gotten done with punk rock bowling for about 8 weeks of nonstop punk. And we had all these Canadian artists because we have great friends who sent us some amazing Canadian artists. And we are very Canadian friendly, going back to Tim Hauer, who's in Mike and Mechanics, who now lives in the UK, to all the great artists that we've had from coast to coast in Canada. I used to live near Canada. Love me get some good poutine. I love Hawkins cheesies. They still Hawkins cheesies. I've begged them for a sponsorship and they won't. They're like, we can't get those down to the States. And right now I don't think we'll allow it even, but we're very Canadian friendly. So
two questions. One, I think they were American and they moved to Hawkins. I'm pretty sure they started in like Maine or something, and then I remember looking at the Wikipedia page because it's like there's a lot of Hawkins lore, and I don't know. Sometimes I go through Wikipedia. And secondly, have you heard of B.A. Johnston?
no.
from Hamilton. Anyways, he has a song "Rockin' the Hawkins." It's wild. He literally wrote a song about Hawkins cheesies.
Oh my God, I've got to tell Tim Hauer about that. So
Yeah.
I mean, we're just gonna go off on some Canadian shit. So Tim Hauer and I have known each other a long time. He's co-lead singer of Mike and the Mechanics, who are still big in the UK. And I remember the first trip I went over there to cover them and photograph the band. A friend of mine was going, and she was going from leaving from the Syracuse, and she was flying out of Toronto. And I'm like, "Hey, dude, you need anything?" He goes, "Hawkins cheesies." I'm like, "What the hell is that?" Literally, we're smuggling over, and every trip now, it's like I was in Ottawa once buying a case of Hawkins cheeses, getting them in a suitcase, flying back to Dallas, and then a week later flying over to the UK.
That's
Henry
so funny.
bars, and oh yeah, one year I called up the Hawkins people and I'm like, "Hey, I really want to send some stuff to my friends, but I can't buy your stuff in the States." They sent me. They had I think their 50th anniversary or some stuff. He's got a shirt and a hat that the guys on the line wear. I
Oh
mean,
my God, are you
he's a
kidding
mega fan.
me?
No, he's a
That's
mega Hawken
sick.
fan.
Yo, that's
Mega Hawkins
awesome. I
cheese.
love that.
And look, I mean, I'm surprised in the 10 years, that Stranger Things has been on Netflix, they've never done a tie-in. I mean, if you think about
Or some kind of like, there's so many Easter eggs in that show. Like you think it's like they could like, so my girlfriend and her kids, like they're all obsessed with it now. They rewatched it. Like her kids were younger. Well, like her oldest, I think they watched, but now all her daughters, like her two daughters, so so they're like every time we hang out, it's like every reel she's getting pushed is some like Easter egg. Like in season 1, did you notice the shadow in the court? Like yeah, but it's wild that there wasn't some kind of little like Easter egg or something.
I mean, look, the just the color of the product alone being that kind of orangish, almost red, they could have done a product tie-in. They could have been eating them on the show. It could have been Hawkins and Hawkins. I mean, there's so many marketing opportunities they missed out on now that it's coming to an end. But they're addictive, and it's really funny because the other co-lead singer, Andrew Roachford. So we were sitting there in where we were. I think we're in Copenhagen, and we'd brought all these cheesies, and Tim is sitting there. I've got a picture of Tim eating a bag of cheesies. We're all eating pizza and stuff. He's having cheesies, looking like a kid on Christmas Day. And Andrew Roachford's like, "Yeah, no, that's not my thing. I love Cheetos, but American Cheetos, not UK Cheetos." So I happen to be on the Frito-Lay cycling team. So I've got to bring Cheetos. I've got to bring cheesies, all that stuff over every time I go to the UK for these guys. I mean, it's become a thing. So, so definitely we're very Canadian friendly.
That's funny.
And this is, I mean, these are the kind of stories we love to tell. I mean, we just recently had a drummer on who's in the band Squeeze. And I've known him for a long time. He's amazing drummer, but he started during the pandemic making videos. And even I learned some things that what he really wanted to be, he wanted to be an airline pilot, but he's colorblind. I never even knew that, and I've known the guy forever.
Oh my gosh.
So this is what we do. And if you love this kind of chat, if you love just learning the little things that make us all human, this is the place to be on The Hang. And we've now promoted The Hang. We're promoted Hawkins Cheesies. Hello, Hawkins. I'm coming for you for a
you got to get that sponsor.
And Timmy and Andrew, if you're watching, love you, buddies. So this is the
I guess the reason why we got on the tangent, because I was like, well, why? It's like why? When you post something and maybe it bombs, it's like, well, why? But I think to tie it back, when it's like, you post something and you pour your heart into it, and you never know what's gonna. But like for me, like I think when I play a show, even it's like our album release in my hometown, I worked my tail off to try and get people off in marketing, went on TV, went on radio, texted all my friends, like, you know what I mean? And it's like, for whatever reason, just people don't show up. Or I think also there's a cultural difference. I don't know about the States, but I know in Canada, it's like, it's really hard to get people out versus like when I play a show in Germany, just like people just like, I'm always like the show's there. The first time I'll play somewhere there, but like it'll be full. And I'm like, why did you come here? And they're like, well, we like music, we did research and we saw, and then we watched your YouTube, and now we'd like to buy all your merch, which I feel like doesn't happen as much in Canada. But for our album release, it's like not many people came, and I was just like, to make peace with like, you work your hardest, and like whoever is listening to your podcast or like whoever is coming to my show, they could have been anywhere in the world right now, and the fact that they're choosing to like spend their time to like watch you sing a song, spending their money, they're spending your attention to like watch your video or listen to your podcast. It's like, that's, anyways, to tie it backwards, like, there's so many things I can't control, but that, like, the fact that people are spending their time and money to like, even if it's like one or two, it's like, I'm so appreciative of that and connecting with those people. It's like, that's, when you're like, oh, why do I do this? Why do I carry stuff up hallways and heavy gear and sleep on couches and whatever? It's like, well, because it's special to share moments, or it's special when like, you'll get a message for your podcast that like, yo, that story of that aircraft pilot from Squeeze, like, that's
Yeah.
so cool. Like, it's like, I don't know, just those little moments where it's like, I don't know, that's all you can control, right?
No, absolutely. You've gotta find ways to appreciate that stuff. I will tell you though, if you tour Germany again, okay, we had an artist on. He's been on twice now. His name is Jack McBan, and he's a German artist who I met him actually the day after that Cheesy's in Copenhagen story is the day I met him in a small town in Germany, and I met him before the show, and he was performing his music in German, and then in the middle of the set, he said some stuff in German. He goes, "My new friend's from Texas," and he sang to my friend and I in English. And there was like 1,100 people there in this tiny little town. So we became friends. He's been on the podcast. He was on one of the first episodes. I kid you not. He'd released an album. He was doing solo acoustic album promo, and I want to say he was in Munich at a show. Guy comes up to him after, okay, comes up to the merch table. He had driven a few hours originally from San Francisco, saw him on this podcast and knew he had to go to that show.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
And so you never know if you get back to Germany, who from Germany is going to show up. But I think one of the challenges is while this technology that we have that's allowing you and I to do something we couldn't do even, 15 years ago, really, effectively, we live in a world where there is so much, for lack of anything else, content that's trying to get our time and our attention, that people have a ton of different decisions to make, and they're not always able to give that dedication and support in the way that we as artists would hope they would, right? And there are some genres that are, the fan base is a little more rabid, a little more dedicated, right? I find that pop and country there's just so much there. But then you look at punk, and if you go to punk rock bowling, and everyone has each other's back, whether you know each other or not, and it's more like a family reunion than a festival, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's certain genres, and I think it's how people have too much to choose from, and it doesn't always pan out that they have the time, effort, or the time and energy to make the effort.
I think you're definitely right. Like, even just thinking like growing up, like, I don't know, we had like pump, like how I joined that hardcore band is there's like a hardcore message board, or before Facebook killed everything, but there's like a punk music message board, Queen City Punk in Regina, and yeah, and it was like, I think you're right, different genres, like the metal scene and the punk scene and the hardcore scene, it's very much like, I feel like maybe people pay different attention to certain things versus like in like the indie scene, it's like, well, how hip are you, or pop or rock, it's like, what is the industry pushing or whatever, right? Like, I think that like certain genres definitely, but I just think, and I agree with you, because it's like, I think people's attention spans are just, they're not, and even mine, like everybody's, right? We've all been conditioned, just like with today's society, especially now, I don't know, like AI and stuff, like people's attention span. But I honestly think that if you pay, and I try and check, like I try myself, it's like sometimes if you pay attention, you might see something or you might hear something interesting that nobody else is really like, it's like maybe it's not buzzy, but if you pay attention, sometimes you see things that are important to you. And like, I don't know, I have so many friends bands where it's just like I'll go watch them and they're some of my favorite bands and they have like 40 monthly listeners on Spotify. Like, you know what I mean? It's like some of my favorite songs, like a band from Winnipeg called Great Wealth. We've done a couple mini tours and like we've been, Means That Much on the album. Actually, I wrote it with Andy Cole from Winnipeg from Great Wealth. And it's like, whenever we play a show, they're one of my favorite bands. I listen to their stuff like all the time. And I'll go on like Spotify and it's like, how do you have like 20, why are people not paying? You know what I mean? It's like sometimes it's like if enough people tell you it's like you should pay attention, then people will. But if they have to do it for themselves, it's like sometimes people just, and it's like what you said. It's just, I think it's just like it's the day and age. I don't fault people for it, but kind of just I try and challenge myself to like pay attention because I might miss something cool that like would benefit me if I'm not paying attention. Like I don't know.
Yeah, well, and you know, you gave me I just had a bit of an epiphany, and I think I'm this. Tell me if this resonates with you. But now that I think about it, you're talking about metal. We're talking about punk. You look at country, which has become in a way today's pop, and you look at pop. These huge genres that are always in, uplifting music. Everything's a major chord, right? It's all happiness, sunshine, butterflies, and flowers. And then you look at some of these other genres like punk, like metal, like, emo, things like that. They are smaller audiences who have really, if you think about it, felt the weight on their shoulders of not being the cool hip people. And when you're in that situation, we all tend to gravitate toward one another, right? So we make our own thing. And I think that maybe that has a lot to do with that sense of togetherness that you get from those genres that may be smaller, maybe not
I
as acceptable.
Yeah, I think like people in the punk and metal scenes are cool. Like personally, it's like I think they are like I think they're
But
cool.
we're the outcasts and misfits, right? It's like
Yeah,
those who don't
but
fit into
that's
that
like
bigger thing,
cool.
right? Yeah.
But
Oh
that's like
yeah.
cool, like but I think it's just those communities are small and they understand that like yeah, like in these smaller centers, it's like if you want to have local metal shows, if you want metal band, and even the ones, I mean, some of them, once they get big enough, sure, they have like tour buses and stuff, but it's like very much DIY, like, hey, let's pack in this crappy van and like see if we can get to the next show or like, you know what I mean? It's like, like, I think it's like if you want to support these bands that are focused on like passion and completing their tour and connecting and and like connecting the scenes because it's like yeah, the punk scene in Albany is probably connected to wherever like and it's like that here in Canada, but it's like I think those smaller ones it's like almost out of necessity where it's like
Mhm.
no, like the lines of communication between those scenes, if there's a sick metal band coming to this town, well, they're probably going to be going there. So how do you like, where maybe is like country is a weird one because it's like, the Nashville effect. But even then, it's like, I don't know. Do you know like Coulter Wall? You heard of Coulter Wall? So he's from Saskatchewan, and it's just like there's some like he's just ranching in Saskatchewan. He's like one of the biggest, like just doing what he wants to do, and like doesn't go to the like I don't know. You know what I mean? It's like there's some cool stuff happening like on the fringes of country, I think, but like the Nashville effect and like anywhere that or even in Canada, it's like the Toronto effect. There's these label bands where it's like, why are you playing the Grey Cup half? Like, you know what I mean? Like, why? I've never heard of this band before. Or, like, I don't really like this. Like, why are you like? Where it's like that, like or being cool. Where being cool is the commodity of like maybe some of the indie or like shoegaze. You know what I mean? Where it's just like,
Yeah.
oh, it's more of your aesthetic and like how mysterious and how hip you are versus like and something usually the music's good too, but I mean like you know what I mean? A lot of times like people did you even listen to the music or was it just like two hip people told you that they're hip and now it's like you're like,
Right.
oh, I should like them because two cool people told me to. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's interesting though, because metal and punk and hardcore, it's like those communities are so intertwined. Like that, yeah, I
So
don't
it's
know.
so tight. Yeah. Yeah. And you know, and it's just dawning on me because I think we spent the last 20 minutes talking about everything except about you particularly.
No,
Um,
it's interesting. It's
we,
cool. Thanks.
no, it's a great, this is great. But we are, now that I'm thinking about it, we are here to talk about you. And, you know, if you're sticking with us this long, I'm, you know, watching us go through this nonsense that we've just been talking about everybody else and all this other cool stuff. At least it's cool to us, and that's what matters because we're on camera. You're not, but you know, for people who are watching who have not heard your music before, they didn't have the album, right? And I know you've got a number of different releases. What are 2 or 3 songs that are like the appetizer to the Nick Faye meal, right? Like if they were going to go out after this and say, you know what, I want to get a real flavor for his music. They don't have to have been a single. They could be any song that you feel really defines you and who you are and your style. What are 2 or 3 of those songs and why? Tell us about them.
Yeah, I think. Okay, so first off, I think personally, my favorite song, and it's like some of them are on like line as Nick Faye, and some of them are online as Nick Faye and the Deputies. Just sometimes it's like if I'm not working with the band or the band changes, you know, I didn't want to like shoehorn it into like, you know, if I'm working like the last CP we did, it was just Chris Demas, our producer, and me because it was COVID. We were trying to keep numbers down. But my favorite song I think is on the new song Undone, and and to me it's just like there's I like the melodies. I like how to the point it is. I think it's catchy, but also it's just like some of the lyrics are just so stupid and like, you know, like 90s, like I think you know, like I feel like Katy frickin' Perry, do you ever feel like a plastic bag? Or I'm like Enrique, can you hear me? I had to look up because I wanted another pop culture reference. So I didn't even know that was a song by Enrique, but there is an Enrique song called Can You Hear Me? Where it's like, to me, it's like that love of silly 90s pop songs, like Blessed Union of Souls or Third Eye Blind. Like, you know, I love those bands. So like, I think that was just like me effortlessly just having fun with the song. And I think I can tell, I hope people can tell that I was. So I'd say that one. The second one is a Nick Faye and the Deputies song. We got to record with a really cool. We got some grant money, and so we flew Michael Vojvoda, and he worked with Rio Statics and Bare Naked Ladies. He did Gordon by Bare Naked Ladies, and like a lot of Toronto, like I think Spirit of the West. Like he was telling a story about how he got to use, I think when they were recording Spirit of the West in Bryan Adams' studio in Vancouver, and they were recording to tape, and like he was like, "Oh, where should we record it?" He was like, "Oh, just use that reel." And it was like outtakes from like Tina Turner from It's Only Love. And he was like, "You want us to record over this?" And they were like, "Yeah, just use it." So I was like, "How would you ever like? How can you record over Tina Turner?" It's like that
Right.
song's a banger. It's like, but so we brought him over, and there's a song called "Expats," which kind of just shares like frustrations about. And it happened again. It happened like right after high school, but Regina is a place that like it's got a university, it's a good music scene, there's like good jobs, and like I grew up here, you know, I grew up playing local shows with like people like like Andy Shaw. I grew up doing like improv against like Tatiana Maslany, who was like She-Hulk or whatever. You know what I mean? It's just like there was like amazing art for like a place. It's a teeny tiny place in the middle of nowhere. And then after like high school, everybody moved away to like Vancouver, and then they'd come back to be like, well, why are you still here? Like why you know, like why don't you leave? And it's kind of started happening again. I think after COVID, some people moved back, but then it's a place that like people always kind of leave, and you kind of need to like, it sucks having to grieve, and you're happy for your friends because it's like, I want you to like go and be successful, and like I'm happy for you, you know, like good luck, like, but also it's just, it sucks to grieve, and it sucks to hear like, oh, why don't you move? So that song is like, it's actually like a punk song about like being frustrated about like somebody leaving and coming back, and like, you know, like the people who remain, like just like, so that song's another good one. And then I think the other one would be like Calm You Down. That was on the last EP. And yeah, I don't know, I think it's just like a gentle, like catchy song. It's a lot of people's favorite songs. So those are the 3 songs that I think I'd suggest people listen to.
Excellent. Well, now we have now an appetizer for the rest of the Nick Faye meal, which you're going to have to go out and find after this podcast in the links below, right? In the links below. Click on those links, check him out, support him. We've spent a lot of time talking about the inefficiencies of the music business these days. You've got to support your artist. Everybody, for the most part in life, has dreams. And sometimes we get them, sometimes we don't, right? I'm always curious as an artist, if you had the opportunity to get in a studio for one day with one other artist and be creative, a song, an album, a lesson, whatever it could be, who would that be and why?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I don't know so much about producers, but I really love like writing songs. And unfortunately, I think just I should do it more like co-writing. Like it's just not really as much of a culture like where I am. Some cities I know on the East Coast, like Halifax, a lot of people like there's more of a culture of co-writing. Obviously, Nashville and Toronto, LA, whatever. But I just think it's like there's so many songwriters that I would love to like co-write, like like Donovan Woods, from Canada, and he co-writes with like tons of like country Nashville artists. But uh, uh, is it Maggie Rogers? I can't remember. I think that's her name. Anyway, she would be like so killer to like write with. Um, I don't know. There's some like sick like artists from like Winnipeg, like Field Guide, like just people who write really really interesting songs that I would just be curious. Like, yeah, just you sit down in a room and sing some songs together and then try and write some cool story with people from different perspectives. I would just be curious like what would happen. So yeah, for producers, it was like working with Michael was a big one because I was such a big Bare Naked Ladies fan. But but yeah, I think that's probably just would like to write songs with
But
those three.
but you just failed the Canada test, dude. You said Halifax and you didn't bring up Sloan. Those guys know how to write
Yo,
together.
yeah, bro. My
I
first
love
band in high school, we used to cover what was it, Money City Maniacs. We weren't very good, but it was like that song, and sometimes they'll play it at hockey. Whenever they play that at like a hockey game, it's like, oh yeah, here we go. Like it's like drop the puck. It's
I
so
mean,
good.
I got lucky. Somebody gave me some compilation of like college radio or something like that, and there was one Sloan song, and I'm like, this song, these other 14 or 15, get rid of them. I literally that song, I'm like, I've got to figure out who this is, and then I went down a rabbit hole and just started buying everything I could Sloan.
What
And
song
then,
was it?
oh God, best day of your life, best.
Oh yeah,
Something.
yeah.
Yeah, I forget that. Yeah,
The
I forget
rest
that.
of my life. Yeah, rest
Yeah,
of my life, right?
yeah. The
Yeah,
rest
that's
of my
a
life.
banger. That's a great song.
And I was like, I wonder if they play the States, and why doesn't anybody know about them? Because they're amazing. And that year, they were playing one U.S. show. Now, unbeknownst to me, and I've been to the Atlanta, Georgia area many a time. Apparently, in Georgia, they celebrate Canada Day, and Sloan was headlining. And I
That's
found out
sick.
like a day before. I'm like, oh, I can't make it. But then they've been to Dallas twice since then. I've had the chance to photograph them and meet them, and I
Cool.
mean, they just bring
They're
it.
so
And
good. Yeah.
oh my God, oh,
I
unbelievable.
I got two Sloan stories. The
Sure.
first one is I think it was like 2007 or 2009, and I went to see them in my hometown, and I went with my buddy and his friend that I didn't really know his friend too well, but my buddy's friend, we're having some pops, having a couple beers, but he had too many beers, and so I remember just being like they were so good, the sound was so good, like they were awesome. I think it was maybe twice from no, the Pink album I think just came out. I can't remember what it's called, but this guy he was so drunk, and he like we're sitting there like rocking, and then all of a sudden I feel like splashing on my shin. I was wearing shorts, and he
Oh
just
my
started like puking on my shin, and like I look at him and I'm like, dude, you just puked. It was so loud. I was like, you just puked on my shin. And he looks up and he looked like horrified. He's like, oh, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, I don't even care, man. How good is Sloan? And then we just kept like watching Sloan. I puked on my shin. I did not even care. Sloan was playing. It was awesome. So that's one Sloan story. The second one was there's a really awesome festival in Saskatchewan called Gateway Festival. Little small town called Bengoff, Saskatchewan. A bunch of ranchers and like volunteers. Like, it's just this big community effort. Literally in like a dusty like baseball diamond in the middle, like pretty close to the Badlands. Like it's really cool. And my buddy books it, and he always books like really cool acts. Like I got to meet Craig. I got to meet Craig Finn from like the Hold Steady the other year. It was like so. It was yeah. He always books really cool stuff. So he booked Sloan, and they were playing, and there was like a tornado warning and like a bunch of hail. So they only played I think 2 or 3 songs, but they did play my favorite song is "Coax Me," so they played it, and then the rest of the festival is canceled and you have to like shelter in place because there's like tornado warnings and like I don't know. But those are my 2 Sloan stories, but they're so good. I love them.
Well, I mean, that's because Sloan brings the storm for sure. For sure. Um, love it. I hope they released a new album a couple months ago. I hope they get a chance to make it down here. But touring these days is a whole. We could spend another hour talking about that. As everyone knows, first of all, I appreciate it if you're still with us because we're almost at 50 minutes. Believe it or not, time flies. If you like your artists, if you enjoy what they do, go and check out their music and their merch. We're putting the links for Nick below, but you got to support them. Streaming is one thing. It's okay if you want to sample something, but owning art is one of the greatest things you can ever do and supporting an artist. And we are all behind that here at Almost Famous Magazine is go out and support your artist. If you buy a keychain, a ticket to a show, don't just stream, purchase, own, enjoy, and support your artist. And you need to be supporting Nick because he's in the middle of nowhere and he needs to be able to buy gas to get somewhere from where he is. And gas is not even inexpensive these days. So please support him. The links will be below. Where we kind of wrap these conversations up, and like I said, you and I could probably go on for a couple more hours, but I'm always interested in when you're not making your own music, when you're not being creative yourself, you're like, yeah, I want to relax, or I'm at the, out on a walk, standing in a snowbank, whatever you may be doing up there, shoveling snow.
Going. I gotta go shovel tonight. Yeah. It sucks.
And you put your headphones on. What do you who are 2 or 3 artists that you just love listening to? You can't get enough of them, and they put you in a great place. That if we were just sitting here having a Molson, Moosehead, whatever, and you're like, Scott, you gotta check these out. Who would they be and why?
Crushing some Hawkins, man. No, I was kidding.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Oh, that's a hard question. I think there's just a lot of like I think there's like a lot of great artists, specifically even from like the prairies. So like growing up, like the Weaker Thans from Winnipeg are always like they're some of my favorite albums, and especially in the winter, it's just like they have a it feels cathartic when and even some of the parts on like my album I think were really inspired by some of the Weaker Thans. Like there's just a winter aura to some of their songs that makes me feel it makes me feel like someone else is going through like a Canadian prairie winter with you. So the Weaker Thans I listen to a lot. Then like one of my biggest influences, like Andy Shaw from Regina, Saskatchewan. He lives in Toronto now, but also his other band Foxwarren. They've been touring the States a bunch, but they're awesome. Like my buddy Daryl, who we go skating in the winter sometimes, and again just like prairie music that like makes me feel yeah, like at home. And then yeah, like another great like prairie band, like Great Wealth. Like I said, it's like nobody like has 40 month, I don't know how many monthly streams, but they released an EP this year and it's so good. The songwriting's so good. And I don't know. It's like a lot of times it's like I don't know, the world is getting bigger in some ways where it's like so easy to like find like cool new music from like halfway across the world, but also in some ways it's harder to tour, that it's kind of like shrinking, where it's just like, the band, couple hours next door, it's like listen to them, support them, and that's what I do a lot, because those are the shows that like I don't the big shows are so expensive now. I did get Foo Fighters and Queens of the Stone Age tickets, but like most shows I go are like to go watch my friends or to go watch somebody that next town over who's coming through on tour, so I can support them and buy vinyl and put some money in their gas can, and yeah, so probably those three.
Cool. Well, I mean, Canada has found a way to make a lot of money off the States next year. I mean, I don't know if you've seen what the cost of a Rush ticket is, but oh my God, it's not cheap.
It's every concert. They're so expensive, man. Like, oh,
yeah. It's gotten crazy.
And it's like I can't get people to come to a show if like I charge like $10 or $15. Like, I don't know.
I know
everyone's busy going to Rush.
I know. Look, we could spend hours. We're having you back at some point. Okay. I don't know what 2026 holds in store for you, but the next time you ever release, we're going to do this again, or maybe we'll just do an hour talking about Hawkins. I don't know. Nick, this has been fabulous. For all of you who have stuck around to the end, we love you. This is real. It means a lot, not only to us here, but it does mean a lot to these artists, the feedback that we get from them. If you've got questions for Nick, comments, whatever, put them below. But every little like, every subscription, all that stuff goes a long way in showing support. And we live in a day and age where we have to do a better job caring about one another, supporting one another, and giving art the opportunity to blossom. And that's through its support. So Nick, this has been amazing. We're gonna finish up the podcast, and I'm probably gonna talk to you for another hour. You never know. But everybody, thanks for sticking around. Nick, you've been a great hang. Really enjoyed this, and I look forward to when we can do it again.
Yeah, thanks for your time having me on, and talent, and thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Everyone, just go out, be good to each other. It's the beginning of 2026. Let's make it a great year, but be kind to one another. We appreciate it. Thanks so much.